the track, at the wall, it's gone! Home run!
Turns on a ball, deep right field, and gone!
What a game, what a moment. What is up, everybody? Welcome into this second Tuesday episode of the day where we have my favorite segment this week in Shohei Ohtani news, and I'm joined as always by Alex Curry. And Alex, this week is not going to be without a lot of content. There is quite a bit to talk about all over the place when it comes to Shohei.
I feel like we have been talking about him every day since Thursday.
Yeah.
After the situation happened, he tore his UCL, and we spent an entire show last week, two, Thursday and an emergency pod Saturday. So let's just dive into it again.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do it
with
again.
my favorite segment of all time. This week in Shohei Ohtani news, we are going to talk about that UCL tear, and we are also going to talk about some new information that I received about the injury. We're going to talk about him continuing to hit with his torn UCL and how well that is continuing to go, as well as a historic stat that he again hit over this past week. So a lot to talk about. And as you mentioned, Alex, it does start with that UCL tear that he was diagnosed with. And it came publicly that UCL tear, not going to pitch again this year. And just some unfortunate news for him, the game of baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, really everybody involved here. It sucks. You never want to hear this. And it just comes on the heels of what I believe is the greatest season that we have ever seen. That's what we were in the midst of.
Yeah.
And for this news to come out in the middle of all of it, just, it sucks. But yes, torn UCL for Shohei Ohtani.
So that was last Wednesday, right? That was his first start after missing his previous start due to arm fatigue.
Yep.
So we had been witnessing a lot of Shohei Ohtani's outings get cut short due to either a fingernail thing, a blister, arm fatigue. Then he missed a start, and then he came back for this one, and second inning, gets taken out, gets imaging done in a doubleheader, and we find out that he tears his UCL.
Yeah. So, I ended up over the last few days, had a lot of information passed my way from a source that I very much so trust. And what I was told is that the fatigue that we were hearing about was really just fatigue. And that started at the Detroit start. The complete game, one hitter is where we started hearing fatigue. And that really was just fatigue. He was cramping, fatigue. He was eating his bananas we saw in the dugout. And that was that. So, yeah, we just heard over the weekend there were comments from Perry Manassian, the GM. He went public and held a little interview and had some comments that hopefully in his eyes helped answer some questions. So those quotes basically were that came on Saturday, and he said that they did offer Shohei an MRI earlier in the month, and that was turned down by him and his agent Nez Bilello. And those comments were made. That was after the Seattle start. So nothing warranted. What I'm told is nothing warranted getting any imaging done at the time. He came out with a finger cramp, and it really was just a finger cramp. There was no need to get any imaging done. And then going into his last and most recent start, he was 100% going into that start. And this is just some of the unfortunate stuff that happens in baseball, obviously. But important note here is that I'm told this UCL tear is completely different from the one in 2018. So he got that surgery. He got TJ in 2018. It was done by Dr. Elatrosh, and that is completely intact. That surgery is completely intact and good to go. And I'm actually hearing optimism about his diagnosis, and time will tell what happens next.
Now, this is where I believe teams need to have a certain checks and balances with their star players, especially someone like Shohei Ohtani, who's doing something we've never seen been done before in the game of baseball. And their whole relationship was, Ohtani, how are you feeling? Are you good to go? Yes, I'm good to go. Of course, he's always going to say he's good to go. Of course, he's always going to say, I don't want imaging. Of course, he's going to want to do everything he can to stay out on the field. But when you have arguably the best player in the game, the best player that we've seen, continuously have cramping, fatigue, whatever it is, I think it's a responsibility by a health official, whether it's a team doctor or a team, to say, I know you feel fine, but let's just check all the boxes. Let's just make sure you're going to be okay in the long run. And somehow, I don't want to say force, we kind of saw something like this. You talked about it previously, and I've talked about it previously in the quarterback series on Netflix with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, when he rolls his ankle, high ankle sprain, doesn't want to come out of the game, and Andy Reid puts his foot down and goes, no, you got to go get x-rays right now. I'm not putting you back out there until you go get x-rays. I know you want to go. I know you want to be out there, just like every single star player wants nothing more than to be on that field and will play through injuries. You talk to so many former athletes, they'll tell you, oh yeah, I played hurt all the time. I didn't want people to know I was hurt. I didn't want to come out of the game. And Shohei Ohtani is that player. He is that guy. He is going to do everything he can. We're watching it. He's hitting and pitching and carrying this Angels team. He was leading in every single stat. He is not going to say, I want to go do imaging. He's not going to want to do anything that could possibly take him out of the game. So I don't know how or what that process would be, but I do believe that there needs to be some sort of thing in place where you say, we just got to check out the boxes. We just have to make sure you're okay.
Yeah, here's what I do know, because Perry Minasian, the GM, mentioned that Shohei and his agent turned it down. Yeah. I was fortunate enough to get to know his agent, Nez Bilello, really well through the Searching for Shohei documentary that we did last year, Searching for Shohei, the interview special. Went over there literally right now, this time of year last year, and got to know him through that. And I know nobody has his best interest more in mind than Nez. And you know, I really truly believe that he's on top of everything when it comes to Shohei. And you know, so it just, I hear you. It's
unfortunate. I mean, I don't know. Can you force a player to go and get imaging? Is that something you can do, or do they have to agree to it? But
you can't force, you cannot force somebody to do it. But, you know, you talked about the quarterback series, and in that instance, okay, you can't force the guy, but you can tell him you're not going back out on the field until. So
there are ways you can kind of get around it.
But look, I really trust these sources. It's and was told he was 100% going into it. The Seattle start that came in question with the finger cramp, it really was just a finger cramp, and there was no cause for concern and no reason to get imaging done at that time. But look, the positive news here is that I'm hearing there is optimism with this diagnosis. It's completely different. It felt different. It's not that 2018 same spot on his UCL. It's completely different, and I am hearing optimism. So we'll see, Alex. We shall see.
Yeah. I can't imagine how, if it's your arm, your elbow, you're having fatigue, your fingers are cramping, how it's not all connected and it's not your body trying to tell you, hey, something's up. I know. It's tough. It's really tough.
But the good news that he's still
continuing to hit. He did this in 2018 after he found out that he tore his UCL and was going to get Tommy John. He went and hit a home run.
Yeah. He's still raking. I mean, it's been really cool to see. And you know, what I'm also hearing regarding Shohei is that spirits are still really high. He's in a good place and he's out there hitting. He was hitting in New York over the weekend, stretching singles into doubles and doubles into triples. I mean, he's still out there right now as the best. He's the best hitter in the game of baseball. He's leading the league in homers. He's leading the league in OPS and slugging, and he's out there doing it with a tear in his UCL. I mean, look, since that tear of his UCL, he's got a OPS of over 1,500. That's remarkable. He hit the 8th hardest ball of the season the other day with his torn UCL. So the hitting has certainly, and it's also really good to, one, hear that he's in good spirits, and two, that it's not getting to him mentally. I mean, the offense is still. I
mean, we heard Perry say that the moment he showed him the imaging. He found out that he had a tear in that first game of the doubleheader. He said Ohtani didn't really have a negative reaction. He just kind of took it in, no big emotion, and just went, I want to play in the next game. And I want to hit, because that's the kind of mentality Ohtani has. Even when you tell him you have a torn UCL, he still doesn't want to come out of the game.
Yeah. So It's just so impressive what he's been able to do. And again, leading the league and all of those things. And we talked about it on Monday. If Shohei didn't throw a pitch this year, he would be the MVP in the American League.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, no question. As just a hitter, he is the most valuable player. So, one bone to pick with the Mets. They were pitching around him. The Mets season is over.
Yeah.
Stop intentionally walking the guy. Just pitch to him. I'm not saying like throw him a meatball, but pitch to the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you got people in the stands. You decided to sell as a team. You caved on the season, but you got people in the stands to watch Shohei. Pitch to the guy.
Yeah.
But, it's entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah. Frustrating to see.
I guess my next question here to you would be that, again, you're saying there's optimism with this certain UCL tear. It's different, but if he does end up having to get another surgery, will continuing to play, it's going to obviously push back his recovery time, push back when he could be on the field again, and he's a free agent this offseason. Do you think it's the smartest thing for him to be out there continuing to hit if he's going to have to get a second surgery, or are you just not going to get that second opinion until after the season?
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is that there's the reason for optimism. That's all I know.
Okay.
And what that means in terms of a second surgery, I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to speculate. I know it is a different UCL tear, which is a good thing because the first one required surgery. I don't know what that means for this one. I don't know what it means for his surgery, but I also know that he's getting a second opinion. We heard that, right? He's kind of just still playing until he gets that second opinion. And the team's been on the road. So is he getting that second opinion when he goes back to Anaheim? Maybe. So maybe we'll hear about that this week. That might be in next week's Ohtani news segment. But I mean, from everything you see and hear,
they're not home till next week.
Yeah, it's quite the road trip they're on.
Philly, Oakland, then they're home on the 4th.
So he just wants to hit until he's able to get that second opinion, and he's out there having fun, in good spirits. So we should be too. We get to watch Shohei still. I ain't gonna complain. Who knows what exactly the future holds, but I'm excited, and he's still gonna make a lot of money. A lot of money.
Oh yeah, and any team would be lucky to have him.
Yep. He, by the way, since the tear in his UCL, he became the 5th player in the last 12 years with 2 extra base hits, 2 walks, and 2 stolen bases in one game. 5th player in the last 12 years. I mean, that's a combination of power, speed, plate discipline. I mean, it is pretty impressive. In one game, Shohei Ohtani walks, steals second, takes a throw in the stomach, then steals third on the next pitch without a throw. Ridiculous. That came from Codify. He's still, it's good to see him. When news first came out, obviously never good. And it seemed like that was going to be the end that we'd see for Shohei for a while. So to be here a week later and to see him still out there doing really cool things and historic things, and 5th player in 12 years to do what he's doing, and he's having fun and he's smiling and his swing's better than ever right now, and he's more locked in at the plate than ever. It's cool to see for sure. Did you see over the weekend the Coors Light sign that he hit in the outfield? Just completely demolished broke the board at Citi Field. Broke it. Hit the Coors Light right in the can, top left, broke the scoreboard in that little spot. And the Mets had some fun. The Mets had some fun with that after. They just put a bunch of messages up on the scoreboard, and this is how the Mets responded. We're sending you the bill for that, Shohei. And just kept putting messages up throughout. Please don't break anything else, Shohei. So that was cool.
So did they caught on to the entertainment side of things once Shohei was there? Just pitch to him.
We've had a lot of scoreboard talk in the last couple months.
Yeah.
Remember,
it's a nice little community. They're all coming together. Like, it's our turn.
Well,
it's our turn for we provide the entertainment. Now we're going to show you why.
Yeah. The one scoreboard in Milwaukee went after I forget Detroit. Who it was. Who was at the plate?
I don't know, but it was like Detroit. It was something about Detroit's population.
No, that
Like
was
fans?
Miami.
Oh, okay.
That was Miami. But again, and then
Yeah.
the Rockies had one in left field about the
facts.
random fact about the lady that wrong
broke his heart.
But the Brewers had one like so and so struck out in his first at bat. Was it Shohei? Why do I feel like it might have been Shohei? The so and so struck out in his first at bat, and then the very next at bat, he hit the ball over and like out of the stadium. So
Pump him up.
that was cool. A lot going on in the world of Shohei.
And
a lot
every
to
day.
talk about.
Yeah. So it's
And-
kind of like hearing what he thinks and how he's feeling.
We will keep you updated here every single, when there's things to update, we'll do it every day, but it will all be culminated here in This Week in Shohei Ohtani News. And we'll be here next week to talk everything that happened and everything that played out in the week that was Shohei and the new news that we'll have to pass along. So we'll see. But that does it for this week's This Week in Shohei Ohtani News. I'm happy we get to still see him out there and hitting.
I know you are.
And doing.
I'm nervous. I
doing
know
big
you're
things.
happy. I'm still feeling nervous about it.
There's no need for, he's not going to make it worse
Are
from
you
hitting.
sure?
Yeah. That's not how that's
Okay.
Yes. Don't be nervous about that. We're getting like half of Shohei, and half of Shohei is better than
It's still an
most
MVP.
of most of the league.
Half of Shohei is still an MVP.
Is still an MVP. So that is the promising takeaway from all of this. But thank you all for listening to this Tuesday bonus edition of This Week in Shohei Ohtani News. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you listen to your podcast. Follow, subscribe, do wherever you listen. Do it. We're also on all social media, including YouTube, where you can watch every single thing we do at Flippin Bats Pod for all of them. But that does it for this Tuesday episode. Tomorrow, Julio Rodriguez of the Seattle Mariners joins me here on Flippin' Bats. So until then, my friends, peace.